Good day, fellow investors. I recently really enjoyed the 1.5-hour interview that Bruce Greenwald, value investor professor from Columbia, did with Li Lu. If you don't know who Li Lu is, he is, let's say, the Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett of China, and he has a relationship with them, and every Tuesday evening he has a phone chat with Charlie Munger, because he's the one that found BYD for them. He's the one that likely told Charlie Munger to invest recently in Alibaba, and he doesn't speak often, so when he speaks it's really important to listen. Plus, I've seen in the comments of the video that it was a boring video, it was not really structured, so I'll try to do a methodic, didactic presentation to quickly summarize what they discussed. The topics are the investment philosophy, investing in China, then a little bit about the new technologies, and also the 3 key things that you need to have if you want to become a value investor. I will put also the link to the full video, but I see now that it is unlisted, so you have to check that whether you will be able to see the video, maybe only through this link. And if you get there, if you want to see all the specific questions, I have put the timestamps into the comment there, so you can really go and listen to the answer to the specific questions there if you are interested. So, if you enjoyed this video, if you like Warren Buffett, Li Lu, Charlie Munger, value investing, please click that like button for channel support and consider subscribing. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger's conference is coming soon, and I'll make a summary of that too as soon as I can enjoy that. Subscribe. Let's start with the content. I'll really go quick, summarize the things. So the first question was about how Li Lu's investment philosophy changed over 28 years. The answer is very simple, it didn't. He said that the only thing that changed is his circle of competence. When he started as a value investor, he was a statistical Benjamin Graham cigar but the last puff, so really finding value in numbers. Then he expanded onto smaller businesses, into smaller niches that he could understand. Then he went to bigger businesses, technology. So the more you expand your circle of competence, your knowledge, the easier it is to find value investments. Looking for great businesses with competitive, durable moats, long investment runways that will do really well. This of course led to the second question, which is what kind of businesses are we looking at as value investors? And then you need a moat, you need a good business, but the key is high return on invested capital, so that the business, when it invests its capital, it gets a high return, which then can be reinvested into growth, and then you find those beautiful businesses that also Warren Buffett always talks about. So a business that can keep compounding returns over the long term. Such businesses come in all sizes, in all industries, so it cannot be just that you find the numbers and you find such a business. You need to understand the business, understand the industry, and as Warren Buffett says, also Li Lu, you only need a few of those businesses in your life to do really well. Plus, the key is if you can wait for the right price and buy such businesses below intrinsic value, and as we'll see later, there are always these crises that allow you to do that, then you have yourself a great deal. And then deeper on moats, Li Lu adds something that I haven't yet heard around, which is the moat is created by the management's capacity of allocating capital. Like Warren Buffett turned Berkshire, the textile firm, into what Berkshire is now, his great moat, his great strength is capital allocation. So when you have management that knows when and where to put capital at work for good return on investment capital, that's a big moat for Li Lu. And when you think about it, it's really what makes a business great. Then a really good question that will be summarized twice in different perspectives in this video: in what other ways do you do things differently from most other value investors? Look at businesses that are already successful, so you don't mess with businesses that are not doing well, which makes it much more easier to invest. You have to be intellectually honest with yourself. You should know your circle of competence, and you need to know a business in and out in order to be able to predict outcomes for the next 10 years and predict the next 2 years of a business with 90% certainty. Keep in mind that most times you can't, so you keep learning until you can. And this is perhaps the most important message. Really, Lilu focuses on knowing, knowledge, knowing, and knowing things so well, so detailed, that you can predict the business over the next 2 years. From my personal experience, that is possible. The more I look into copper, the more I am able to see the trends, the cyclicality there, and understanding. So value investing and investing is really about knowing more, and more. And one great trick that he shared to know more about a business is to have an owner's mentality. When you think a little bit about that, everyone is so focused on those stock prices going up and down, and I constantly get messages. Today I get, Sven, I'm down 19% on Alibaba, what should I do? Now it's 11% already. But you see, when you focus on stock prices, you don't have the right investing mentality, because you are not focusing on ownership. You're not focusing on, okay, Alibaba. When you read the news about Alibaba, Alibaba was fined for having a dominant position. I received so many messages about the Alibaba was fined, not about the Alibaba has a dominant position. And are you investing in the fine or the dominant position? So when you look at it as an owner, you see, okay, what is Alibaba now? What are they doing to prevent future fines, to keep that dominant position in a form that it can be kept? And that's investing. And the perfect example, what Lilu says, is think that you are gifted a business that has no stocks, that you own 100%. What do? You start learning about the business, understanding the business, see the competitors, see what can happen, and then you become a real business analyst, an investor. But to have the right mentality, you have to think that you own 100% of the business. The question, of course, every interview has to have that question. What about the market today? And Lilu says something different. Everybody says this time is different, are the three most dangerous words in investing. Lilu says that every time it is different. And that's something very peculiar. Every time it is different. We are in uncharted territories. You never know what can happen. But if you want to do good as an investor, you have to find businesses that will do well through thick and thin. That's it. Then it makes investing simple. When it comes to crisis and human irrationality, he says that every 5 to 10 years we have a once-in-a-century crisis. And human behavior will never change because it's driven by greed for easy money in good times, like we are seeing now, based on incomplete pictures of the environment. Because I don't think that all the game stonks and etc. investors understand the real principles of investing and the real things that they are doing, but they are attracted by greedy money. And when that incomplete picture turns around all those investors, then they start to panic, then they start to do irrational things, more irrational than they are doing now, because when you start losing money, you make decisions differently. And that's normal human behavior in a cycle that only by knowledge we can solve. And as he says, financial markets actually amplify human instincts. The way to deal with your instincts is to find businesses that will do well no matter the environment and know the businesses extremely well. To quote him, if you just pretend you know a business well, you will be tested in difficult times. On the question whether to be a generalist or a specialist, of course, both. Be a generalist in the learning of the markets, of the mega trends. We'll discuss the mega trends in a second, but be a specialist when you start looking at the business and the niche the business is operating. Then on value investing in China, he says how China and Asia will have a bigger and bigger role in the future, and how the market is not developed and actually undervalued compared to the economy, how still trading is underdeveloped, how the markets are underdeveloped, the financial services, and it's good to invest in China, especially for US investors. He might be hinting there for all the dollars that are being printed, so you have currency differentiation. But you need to know the specifics. If you want to invest in Chinese banks, there are 13 of them. It is an opportunity now, but you need to understand those banks really, really well. On new technology, where Li Lu owns BYD, he says that it's very difficult to predict who will be the winner, but it's easy to predict the mega trends. For example, in the automotive industry, we have autonomous driving, ride sharing, intelligent design, and electric vehicles. And those trends are certainly going to be there, and now it's up to you to find a business that will do well, no matter the thick and thins in the automotive industry, which are natural for the industry. And if you can find a business that will do well, then you have found yourself a great business, as he did with BYD. And then what I want to finish with is how to start value investing. What are the 3 key factors? We already mentioned, always adopt an owner's mentality, maintain intellectual honesty, and also study the history of the business, because when you study the history of the business, it allows you to make a judgment on the business when difficult times come. When a stock crashes 50%, he says that you need to know the business really well to buy more of it. If not, the market is designed to test you, and then you do the wrong thing at the wrong moment in time. The interview finishes with a little bit of career discussion by Li Lu and his fight to lower discrimination of Asian Americans. So very, very interesting chat with Li Lu. The link is in the description below for the full video, also for the specific questions. You can find them in the comment under the video there. Click that like button. I'll see you soon in a new video.